Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Meet Me in Napa. Your host here, Jeremy Jackson. I am so excited to be with one of the legends of Napa Valley, Mr. Jean-Charles Boisset. How you doing today?
Fantastic, Jeremy. So good to be with you with a J Square at the Napa Valley. You're the man, and I've been excited to be with you on your show. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. First, no good conversation starts without a good glass of wine. So what are we going to cheers to? Let us know what we're drinking here.
Well, first, we're going to listen to the second. Listen to this. Okay.
I love it.
1 minute. This is pure crystal Baccarat glasses, the Passion Collection, to welcome one of the wines I love the most, maybe arguably my favorite Napa cab that I've ever participated into making, the most incorrigible opulent wine, 100% Cabernet Raffelford Sanolina plant.
Yes.
2022 vintage. I mean, taste that intensity. Richness, intensity, power, and still silkiness.
So, Jean-Charles, your reputation precedes yourself here in the Valley. But you didn't start here in Napa. You started in France, correct?
Absolutely. I was very lucky, Jenny, to be born in a vineyard, which is this one, Vougeot Premier Cru. So I was born in Burgundy, France, which is the centereast of France. For most of the people, they know Dijon, the famous mustard. It's basically 20 kilometers south. There's the Côte de Nuit, Côte de Bowl, where Chardonnay and Pinot started really in a very amazing way in the 10th century. In fact, that vineyard I was born in is planted in 1110 by the monks, the Cistercian monks of Cîteaux. So I was really born in a tiny village, 180 people. There's still 180 people today. And it's in that small town that I learned everything about nature, everything about energy, anything about crystals, anything about minerals, anything about viticulture, horticulture, gardening, and winemaking.
So you were running in between the vines as a little boy then.
That's it. I was playing hide and seek behind the rootstock.
So was your father a winemaker? Or
That's right. It was okay. My parents both really started in the family living room in Vougeot.
Okay.
They started by buying a barrel, 2 barrels, 3 barrels, and slowly but surely developed a wine affection, appreciation, and a very good, in a way, base to build a business. So my mother was, in fact, a great artist as a ballet dancer. My father was coming out of his military service. They fell in love and started the winery in the living room. So I got very, very fortunate, if you wish, to be able to really learn wine from within, from the living room, from the dining room. Literally, my bedroom was above the actual winery.
Oh man, I mean, so yeah, not everybody gets to have that experience, right? In their introduction into the world of wine. So how did that impact you, and how does that shape you as a kid, and even in your journey and coming to like Napa Valley?
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, no one got this chance except many of us being born in Burgundy. I was very luckily, Jeremy, born in an erotic year, 1969.
Yeah.
So you got to realize the 60s and early 70s in France were very free-spirited.
Came out of the summer of love, and
That's very true. You know, you lived that in Berkeley, California, which was really the base where everything started, as often starts in the US and then moved to Europe. So we started that way. So the 70s were very cool. My mother, was enjoying wine when she was pregnant. She was smoking a little cigarettes here and there. And it was really free-spirited, very artistic, not structured, not oriented towards money-making, but rather artistry. So when my parents really started, their idea was to make great wines and find a few customers, leave the door open of the house. People would ring the bell. My mother would serve wine in the living room or dining room, have a piece of cheese and a little ham and a charcuterie plate, and do it the way you know it today.
Yeah.
And people would taste a few bottles of wine and they would buy. And then my grandparents, retired school teacher, would help them. and then would do the list of the price list to be sent to them. And basically from there, people would become a customer. So it was very, very cool. It was very natural, small town, small country France, really endogenously in a way, starting a small wine business. Husband and wife loving each other, starting wine. So my sister and I really played hide and seek in the barrel room behind the tank. We learned really how to make wine extremely early on and basically work the gardens, the orchard, and certainly top barrels as early as 4 or 5 years old. I mean, by 10 years old, I honestly knew how to make wine and taste wine.
Well, you should get them to change the laws here in the country. So yeah, I mean, when you think about that, right? That experience, I know there's rules and regulations around all that, but a lot of people, at least here in the States, they can't even really begin to start the journey until they're 21, right?
That's right.
And I know, legally, right? And so I think that probably is a cultural shift in the way Europe does wine and how they consume it as America, right?
For sure. Well, to your point, we drank wine at the dinner table or lunch with no water in it. It would be pure. It would be a drop, but you would taste truly the essence of wine. And I really believe on that note, by enjoying wine early on in life, you respect it more. You treat it as a divine creation of Mother Nature, of the earth, help with the help of man, for sure, but really that luxury product. So I never ever found myself orally exceeding wine, being excessive with wine or with alcohol in that sense, because you make it, you respect it, it's part of the food diet, and you don't exceed it. So this is the cool part of it. But I want to bring you back to Burgundy. Imagine that small village. Really Clos Vougeot, Vougeot, Musigny, Chambertin, Bonnebar. I mean, the most time vineyards today, obviously, we are 50 years later. Half a century later, it's become the most sought after wine. But it was a lovely life, very tranquil. You would walk to the school, which was 100 meters away from my house. You had the bakery. You had, obviously, the butcher who would drive his truck, ring the horn on the square, and everybody would come and choose their piece of meat, and that would happen 3 times a week. So you didn't have the stores you have today. You didn't have the organization of the shopping mall like you have today. So it was a very community life. Everybody in the village, the older, the younger, everybody met and worked together. So it was a really cool upbringing. My sister and I had great friends. And we were living kind of all not together per se, but seeing each other all the time. So you would see the baker who has the great bakery around the corner, and you would make croissant with them. Or you would make a baguette and he would offer you a few croissants. You would go and see all the people from the village and learn from them. So it was a very different life than today.
Well, let me ask you a question then, because the man that I've met has flair, personality, but who dressed like you in Burgundy? Well, were there people dressing like you in Burgundy, or where did you get your style from? That's what
I got the chance to get a very strong grounding.
Okay.
And my parents are wonderful people. My grandparents were both school teachers. So I got to have a foundation that was, frankly, thanks to them, not to me, second to none. In terms of education, in terms of values, in terms of ethics. So I really became who I became as I started to travel and got attracted by arts, painting, sculpture, museum, fashion, and all that comes with it.
all those worlds collided at once.
Colliding at once, post 15, 16, 17. I got acquainted to it before because I was always a fan of history of art and always really passionate about all the great painters and sculptors and designers and architects. But really, my first 15 years, Jeremy, were really onto nature. This is why I understand the rhythm of nature so well and the seasons very well. And I could pull the vineyards to do everything in the vineyards because I did it for 10 years plus before, making wine per se. I was really tending vineyards and being close to the land, the soil, the rootstocks, and all the growth of that cycle.
Right.
So very fortunately, and I speak on the behalf of my sister as well, we both were educated with flowers, vegetables, fruits, scents, insects, animals. I had cats and dogs and horses at the house. I think this is the true farm as you know it today. So I understood biodynamic and organic very early on. I understood that the horse manure should be put on the roses and we should do our compost, that we should really prep our vineyard through the plants that surround the vineyards, hence biodynamic farming. I really early on understood the cycle of nature, the interaction of the sun, the moon, and the earth, and therefore really got in sync with Mother Nature. She was, I often say, maybe my best friends. I knew the soil, I understood growth, I understood plants, I understood harvest, I understood the transformation of that fruit into something else.
Yeah.
And that was, I think, a great chance that I had in life is not to start in Paris or in New York or San Francisco, or LA, or Tokyo or London, but really to start in a tiny town, in a small village. The church was around the corner. The community was there, from the baker to the butcher to the winemaker. You had everybody around. Then you learn from doing.
Wow. So you have this humble beginnings, right?
Yes.
And you are a family, everything that you just explained. What was your journey? How did you get to Napa Valley? So how did that journey begin from Burgundy to Napa Valley?
Well, my grandparents were very fortunately resistant in the Second World War.
Okay.
As you probably know, Burgundy got invaded very quickly.
Yes, yes.
From the north. So Alsace, Champagne, and Burgundy. We're 4 or 5 hours drive away from one another. So it's a very close area. Burgundy got invaded. My grandparents became resistant in the war. And in 1944, when the forces came in through, Normandy, very luckily my grandparents were there. They were already very, very strong in the French resistance. So when the American came in, they opened their arms and their best friends became American people. And they loved it. They freed us. You freed us. All your ancestors were amazing to give us a true democracy of what we could be and what we became. Is this great world that think large and is very democratic in its sense. So they all love America. So when we came to become 10 and a half, 11 years old, my grandparents bought a ticket to California to show us the mission from Carmel all the way to Sonoma. And my sister and I came, and my parents then joined after the trip here in Napa. And it was a dream. We traveled through California. And I need to tell you, it was in 1981. I was not yet 11. And I fell in love. I fell in love because I realized America, besides movie, magazines, and besides all what we saw in the French media, was this incredible place of people with a great smile, welcoming you with open arms and smile. And this American way of life we discovered over that trip, which was 11 days. So we ended up in Sonoma and we fell in love with the public, the whole history.
Yeah.
Remember, they were very Catholic and as well very much history buff. They were school teachers, history teachers.
Yeah.
So we knew American history from the Native Americans on the way in. We were very into geography, history, natural science. By 12 years old, I could recite to American history very well. And certainly the mission and certainly the pioneers of the West and the Beaux Vaches. I was fascinated with 1858, Amazing Story next year. Amazing, the pioneering of the West. So I need to tell you, Jeremy, I fell in love.
Yeah.
I fell in love with America, with that woman that was represented by the Statue of Liberty, the Statue of Freedom, the statue of that torch, the light to the world. offered obviously by the French in the 19th century as the light of the West. And I felt this is so cool. This country is giving me goosebumps. So we flew back, and I said to my parents, one day I will live there. I want to be there. And my sister felt the same. She was really in love with America. We met tremendous amount of great people along the way. My grandparents did not speak English. I did not speak English. But, you communicate with people. If you really want to, you can.
Yeah.
And people were very welcoming. People were very warm, and they would show you the way. To show you the way, they would drive 3 miles out of their own way to show you how to get to a street.
Yeah.
You didn't have Google Maps. You didn't have even a cell phone.
Yeah.
I remember my grandparents did not even have a credit card. It was all paid cash, and it was quite of the trade. So, Jeremy, I fell in love, and my dream was always to come back. So very fortunately, at 16 years old, I applied to the French school in Washington, D.C., and I wanted to be in the U.S. So I went to the French International School in D.C., luckily one of the top schools in the country. And I got in not because I was a good student, but because I applied. And they said, why not get this French guy from Burgundy out of Burgundy and come to D.C.? So certainly I was in the capital of the world with a group of great friends, and I discovered really the East Coast of America. That was my first time. Yeah. Love D.C., love the diversity of it, love all the nationality.
Where the winter is worse in DC than in Silver. Okay, said
What's to say attitude? You think of it. Yeah. And, I adored it. I thought, skin color to religion to 180 nationalities in that small town. I mean, everywhere you go, you met people from the Middle East, from Africa, from South America to Asia. I mean, it was for me the world in my hand.
Yeah.
I got inspired. I got totally transported to a place where I wanted to be. So I knew at 16, 17, I wanted to spend my life in the US. And I knew I would want to balance my lifestyle between America, which I considered modernity, which I considered forward thinking, which I considered the future, to Europe, the tradition, the heritage, and the source. So I said to myself, let's balance my two hearts, because I have two. One, which is Europe, which I love, and the other one, which is America, which I want to become part of. So I really felt immediately, Jeremy, a citizen of the world. I already considered myself very European because I never really believed in the cleavage of, are you French, or you German, or you Italian, or you didn't do such. I want to roll into one. I mean, whether I speak to a German person or a Belgian person or a Dutch or Dane, it's the same, really. We all the same living in Europe. So I felt the same here in the US. So I knew it was going to be the USA. I knew I wanted to be here. I knew I loved it. And I knew somehow deep inside of myself, I could make maybe a little bit of a difference by being a different person, as if I would have been born here in Napa or in San Francisco in LA. Originally, I need to tell you, I was as attracted by Napa Sonoma as I was by Southern California, because Southern California represents the West, the Grand West, LA, Venice Beach, Smiley Beach, Santa Monica, Santa Barbara, Hollywood. It's this very diverse multicultural place that is so compellingly attractive. And for me, I love differences. I'm attracted at the table when someone is not of my opinion. So I could defend my point, but I will learn from his or her point.
Yeah.
So I love differences. I was very lucky, Jeremy, at the dinner table and lunch table with my grandparents, great aunt, and parents and sister. All of them were not of the same political belief. So it was great.
Yeah.
One were more left, the other one more right, the other one more the center, and coming from different philosophical, cultural background. So nobody agreed.
Yeah.
But everybody was very respectful of the debate. If you disagree with my idea, build a thesis, antithesis, and conclusion. Bring me the pros and cons of your ideas. Build a rational explanation of why we disagree and what you believe in, and then I'll build an argument around.
I want to touch on what you just said there, because there is ideological and, I guess, viewpoints here in the valley that have shaped the valley over the years, and even how to move forward, right? And I'm pretty sure everybody has different outlooks and opinions. What you've laid a groundwork here over the last 50 years, correct?
Yes.
And yours is very what people often don't understand is the wine industry, even though it's luxury, these are farmers who are bringing these products to our table, right?
Yeah.
Literally farm the table when it comes to wine industry. But you have this very luxurious, elegant side to you that you do that's very robust. It's bright, there's energy. But you have a lot of people who are just like, hey, we're simple country folk. We just make good wine. We want to set it on the table. So can you explain a little bit of some of that divide that goes into the ideological viewpoint of wine, and even here in the Napa Valley?
Sure. I will start maybe by defining what is luxury. Luxury is inspiring desires, making sure that your product is desired by most, your environment is wanted, people want to be in your places. For me, luxury is precision. You could be a farmer with overalls, having an artichokes, a tomato on the table, and a simple glass of wine. This is ultimate luxury too, if it's well presented. It's not about having necessarily expensive wine glasses or chandelier or velvet chairs. That means it's luxury. If your wine is atrociously bad and it's in that great environment, it's not going to play well.
Right.
Everything has to be in accord. Everything has to be done by a conductor in perfection and in unison, as I often say. So it's all about bringing the pieces together, that is, creating this sense of desire. So I feel there's no dichotomy. There's only diverse people. I'm a farmer more than most.
Yeah.
Even if you tell here's a side, most of the people don't know because I don't walk around in my overalls or boots or.
That's why I asked where to get your fashion from, because when you tell your origin story, you're like a little boy running on Bible.
There's been like you, Jeremy. You're an artist, like you do. As your primary job, which is artistry. You do it with everyone and you create fashion for others and a style and a personality with what you do. And for me, I very early on discover, thanks to wine, the different colors of wine, the different textures of wine, the different sensory of wine. Wine for me is not just different tones of color, which is the whole Pantone basically existing in the world. It's how you serve it. It's how you smell it. That's why I'm very much into fragrance and into candles and into soaps, into home luxury scents, and finally into taste and texture. So texture comes with wine. The wine we're trying right now, that JCB10 from Napa Valley, has velvet, has leather, has silk, has power to it. So for me, it all goes in wine. You're going to be very consistent to who you are. And for me, I could spend maybe 5 hours in the vineyards, and we can walk, we could touch from the rootstock to the grapes as they form. I could tell you about the polyphenol, the anthocyane, the skins, the pits. I could tell you a lot about many things there.
Yeah.
I love it. But this has been, for me, my education, a platform to be who I am today.
Yeah.
And it's true that I love fabric and texture. That's why I wanted to wear this jacket for you, which is full of different relief and tones. Same with my shirt, which inspires as well jewelry and adornment, etc., etc. So everything I do in so many ways is intentional because I really believe that I've become who I am over time.
Yes.
For many years, I was not even wearing Red Sox.
Every time I see you, you have your Red Sox on.
20 years, Red Sox. And it's not that I want to be the Pope. It's I believe in the red energy, the power and the connection to Mother Nature and to the earth and to the center of the earth. And red color rounds you, specifically if it's connected to the land and the earth. That's why the Pope wear reds as well, as the Red Sox as the Pope. So since then, I've always had. Same with the shoes. I love the artistic expression of Louboutin.
Yes.
I'm a big fan of his, and he collects a lot of our wine. The two you have in front of you, he has in his cellar.
Oh man,
And I love it because
he's gonna take me to him so we go drink wine in his cellar.
anytime,
Anytime. I got the frames. You know,
we're going to go to Paris, we're going to go to Portugal, or we're going to go to Egypt. Those are the three places he hangs out. But, I'm a very big fan of allowing people to be who they want to be. Like you. You started, you moved to Napa, and now you decide to do this incredible podcast, which I'm very admirative of you. You branch out from who you are.
Yeah.
And as you have people sitting in that famous chair, they tell you everything and learn about everything. You're probably the biggest listener. There I am. I've learned a lot.
Yeah.
And the most knowledgeable in Napa. So for me, I did not try to create the image I have. I am the image that I am.
Yeah.
I've never tried to be someone else.
Yeah.
I've become who I am over time. I'm a big athlete, as you probably know. When I was 15 and 14 and early 16, I was in the national team of soccer. This has been my life. I do a lot of tennis. I do kickboxing. I train pretty much every day, if not every other day. So I have a very high discipline and a hygiene of life. Yes, I love to do events to bring people together because I believe the mission of someone in the wine world is to bring people together, whether around a round table, whether it's a group of 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, or a group of 400, and celebrate wine in its entirety. And I think the vision and the mission of a winery is to bring people together, to have them express themselves through themes. That's why I do the red party, the white party, the black party, the masquerade, some fun parties too. You got go and do it. And it allows the engineer who lives in Napa to all the arts and crafts of the people that compose the valley to dress up, to have fun, and to meet others in a different way than they would in their typical routine. So I feel, with wine, it's culture, it's civilization, it's architecture, it's art, it's nature, it's transformation, and it's transformative.
Yes.
So with wine, we have this ability to take people on a journey, similar to the fashion designer who does the fashion show. And for 10 minutes on the runway, they could do anything they want. They could take you to any world they want.
Yeah.
From Louis Vuitton to Alexander McQueen to Yves Saint Laurent to Vivienne Westwood. You travel into their world.
Yes.
And it's a great journey and escape. That's what I believe in.
Well, talking about traveling into the world, your origin story started in Burgundy, of course.
Yeah.
Now you planted, multiple decades here in the Napa Valley. The old world of wine has thousands of years of history, right? I mean, I say this in a lot of my podcasts. It was Jesus. It's even in the Bible. First miracle. So the story of the wine in the old world is journaled and is documented. What do you think Napa Valley's story has been, and what do you think it will be? Because we're it's a very younger story than thousands of years old. So what do you think it has been, and what do you think it will be?
The vineyard we have in front of us is from 1110. This is where I live. That's the white wine. That's the beginning of Chardonnay.
Mm-hmm.
The vineyard we are tasting here, the Napa Valley Cabernet from Rutherford, is from the 1880s. So Napa and Sonoma started thanks to a man named Harasti in 1857 who founded Buena Vista. I rename him colloquially the Count of Buena Vista because it's easy to remember. But he gave the cuttings to Charles Gruber at his winery, and that was the beginning of Napa. Yes, we had the Mission grapes before that, but it's really 170 years old. It's very recent. Yeah. What I believe, to directly answer your question, Jeremy, Napa Valley and Sonoma have done an amazing job in 160 years. It's incredible to imagine overall what California has done since 1848-49, the gold rush, and what it is today.
Yeah.
The fifth largest economy on the planet, if not the fourth. So when I look at a state, which is multiple countries in one, which is a very powerful economy with a lot of great brain, whether in technology, in agriculture, in politics, in science, in biology, in biochemistry, in wine, in everything you can imagine, California is good at, including even aerospace. So, what is so exciting in the world of wine? The beginning has been tremendous. What have we achieved in Napa? We defined our terroir. We defined what the French call the contour, the 47,000 acres that constitute what Napa Valley is. That's all. It's 65,000 acres at large, 47,000 planted. A little bit of polyculture, a little bit of almonds, a little bit of all kinds of different other agriculture, as well beef and cattle and this and that, but it's primarily grapes. I think what we've done in the last 150 years is define very well the mountain, the hillside, and the valley floor. So the triptych, as I call it. You know, we are right now in the valley floor, but we'll be in our venues in Rutherford on the hillside, and we could be in Mount Vita or Pritchard Hill on the mountaintop. So we define very well the soil, the geology, and the pedology. That's the key, where wine and the woodstock will get its nutrients, the soil. We understand the diversity of the soil from Calistoga to Carnivals, from Youngville to, of course, Catalina, where we are. So we define the contour, the boundaries. Now, what we're doing is defining better the vineyards, the areas that are great, grand, and good. There's nothing average in Napa Valley. Everything is either good, great, or grand.
Yeah.
Good, which is the village equivalent of Burgundy. Grand is the premier cru, and great is maybe the grand cru, the top of the top. So what you've done is define that first geography, the soil, the source. Big start. The second step, which is what we're doing now, and we've been, I must say, a very big leader with Raymond Vineyards, Buena Vista, Elizabeth Spencer, and of course, the Jean-Charles Boisset brand, is a leader in organic and biodynamic farming. What does that mean? Step number one, we define the geography. Step number two, we define how we are to farm. What are the farming techniques that are important to do great wine? So I believe being true to the land, not using pesticides, herbicides is the answer. All our vineyards, Jeremy, all are organic and biodynamically certified. Certification CCOF or Demeter, the top two groups around the world to define really who you are. So step two, I really think, is vineyard practices. No pesticides, no herbicides, managing water very well, maybe involving dry farming. So you're really true to what we call the terroir as a French word, which means the alchemy of the soil, the climate, and the plant. Okay. That trinomial relationship, that is essential. And finally, I would say pushing it even further, going biodynamic, meaning working through the biorhythm of Mother Nature, the interaction of the moon, the sun, and the earth. We just celebrated, obviously, Chinese New Year's, which is our New Year too.
Yeah.
Because that's the Earth and the Moon New Year. Remember, we change our calendar to fit a different purpose. The real calendar is the Chinese or the Persian calendar, which is Nowruz, which is between literally, March to mid-March. This is really where spring is.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the Renaissance.
Yeah.
Spring, transformation. So I think step two of Napa Valley is really farming better. Eliminating pesticides and herbicides, which should not exist. We don't use them. We haven't used them since I've been here. And same at Donut Vineyards in the Russian River. And that's why whites are all between 94 to 100. And you can say, Jean-Charles, why? You're a great winemaker. And I said, I'm not sure. We are a great steward of the land. By being true to the land, you are true to your guest who will enjoy the wine. I could tell you every glass that you have in front of you is true, true to Mother Nature. It's not corrected by anything that is exogenous to the wine. It's an endogenous strategy, meaning it comes from the land, it's harvested by the land, and it's treated by the plants that surround the land. So that's, I think, step 2. And finally,
The last one, go ahead.
yeah, well, the last one is very important.
Yes.
You know, obviously, you can understand that I'm really from the wine world.
Yes.
Born in it, have done it all my life. Having wine makers that are true to wine. And the first 2 steps I've mentioned, sense of geography, sense of farming, and now sense of winemaking. What does that mean? Endogenous yeast, not using synthetic products to modify the taste of your wine. Making wine the real way, letting nature be nature in the tank as well. Letting fermentation happen when it's meant to happen. Letting malolactic fermentation when it's meant to happen, not stopping it. Let it be. Remember the Beatles? Let it be, let it be. Let nature be as well in the winery.
Yeah.
So that's really, for me, 3 steps. And you heard it. Those are my 3 pillars. Okay. Vineyard and nature. Obviously, the geography, and then the winemaking. And finally, letting wine be unfined, unfiltered. Like those wines we're trying, they're true. They come directly from the barrel to that bottle of wine. And this is why I allow myself to be wilder than most, because our practices are irreproachable. Our wines are the top of the top. And it's being proven by what all the journalists say, whether it's Lisa Perotti Parker, whether it's the Wine Spectator, whether it's the Wine Enthusiast, whether it's Food and Wine, whether it's the Wall Street Journal, Forbes Magazine, whether it's the Rob Report,
And now maybe a Napa Podcast.
and Napa Podcast. So the wines have been ranked very highly. Another great friend, Galoni, Jed Dunick, all those people, and obviously James Suckling, all those great people have ranked our wines at the top level. It's not because we pay them to do so. It's because we are true to all the practices I just mentioned. And I will conclude that all our buildings are solar paneled. All our buildings use alternative energy. All our buildings manage better water, etc., etc. So we really, really true to everything we say we are. And I think, Jeremy, in life, as they say in America, you got to check all the boxes.
Yeah.
And why I allow myself surrealism, unique creativity, being wild or being inspiring to others and doing things differently, because I know our team of amazing people are making incredible wine. And I'm with them making those wines. I don't disappear.
Yeah.
I'm at the blending table. I'm at the sorting table. I'm in the vats with them. So the good news is when you do something amazingly well, which is wine, thanks to a team of over 30 plus full-time winemakers. Imagine, that's who works in our company. That's a big team, plus another 7 consulting winemakers, the best of the best. So you can allow yourself to be original. You can allow to be unique because you know the liquid, the content is amazing. It's like Ferrari. They can have a yellow Ferrari. It's original, it's crazy. Or Lamborghini, they can have a lime or a lime yellow or green Lamborghini. The performance of the car is insane.
So it's irreproachable. So I have another thought. As you were explaining all the wonderful things that you do within your business and being true to the earth, there's the other side of the wine business that you just cannot get around, and that's the local politics of it.
Yes.
How has that shaped? How has that helped? And if at all, do you think that there's any hindrance to some of the politics that happened here in the wine industry as a whole? And what do you think? Do you think there should be a revisitation of things or to move forward? Is there any change that you feel should happen here? What the relationship between the old Web 5 and the vineyards?
Always. So, Jeremy, I will answer to you in a different way. But okay. You understand we're celebrating 250 years in America at the CPAC.
Yes.
The best friendship of France and the US, the best friend in the world of France has always been the US. We were here 250 years ago with Lafayette, and as you know, Jean-Charles Boisset, and of course, Benjamin Franklin, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and Adams. We were here making this country what it is today. 250 years later, America is the most powerful, the most incredible place on the planet, and the best to live in. I confirm, I live here. So, America is constantly moving, constantly evolving, constantly questioning itself, its vision, its passion, its rules, its techniques, who it is, etc., etc. So, as a region, you constantly needs to evolve as well. Look, Burgundy, where I was raised, is different today than it was 50 years ago. And 50 years ago was already different than it was in the 1920s and very different than it was in the 1850s. So I think we need to evolve. Of course, I think the local politics are very well aware of it. I think a lot of us are pushing for basic evolution of laws and regulations and what wineries are allowed to do and not allowed to do, which is no.
Yeah.
And we live in a country that is a capitalistic nation.
Yeah.
This is why it's so important to be in America and never to change it. Because capitalism is the answer to evolution, market economy. If you're good at what you do, which you are, that's why people come to you, because you're good. If you were cutting people's ears and making them bleed, I don't think you would have a lot of customers, right?
Right.
And if you were, shaving them the improper way. So I think same with me. If I were making lousy wines, people will not come and buy. Because at the end of the day, people realize the wines are lousy. You cannot get by too long by being average at what you do.
Right.
So I feel we are a cornerstone, indeed. We are a major juncture in history. I lived it in Burgundy in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. Burgundy had to change. I think Napa Valley has to change. I've always been, Jeremy, as well as us as a company, welcoming people. That's why on Thursday and Sunday, we do free tastings at Raymond. We want people to come in, younger generation to dare, sitting at a table and having a glass of wine and wanting to hear about what is Sauvignon Blanc, what is Chardonnay, what is Merlot, what is Cabernet. So I think what we want to do, yes, we want to have the tastings at $200-$300 a tasting. We want to cater for everyone. And I don't believe in being ultra elitist only. I don't believe in the black card society. I believe in being inclusive. This is why I want to do all those big events. This is why I want to do those great concerts. This is why we bring in our good friend John Legend to have thousands of people come around the piano and listen to him. This is why I really believe in the region that brings people of all origin, all religion, and all backgrounds, and all food backgrounds. You could be Indian, you could be African, you could be Nigerian food, you could be obviously South American food, Mexican food. Wine needs to be at the table. And I think Napa Valley needs to be very inclusive. It doesn't have to be La La Land. It doesn't have to be, disorganized. It could be very organized, but we need to bring all generations, all peoples of every backgrounds. Just like if you go to a Cartier or Louis Vuitton shop, they're going to welcome you. And maybe if you're a top shopper, you cannot go to the top floor because you need to be a big spender. But at least you could discover and dream. And I believe, and I'm going to plagiarize Martin Luther King, we need to dream. We constantly need to dream. When I look at Haute Couture fashion show of a beautiful dress or suit that is a fortune, I think about the thousands of hours that took the craftsmen to make it, the great fabric, the pearl, or the diamonds, or the CZ they've used, and I dream. It's not that I want to buy this dress or this suit, but I'm here to dream and to escape. Same with a great wine.
And so one of the things I would say that, like, thank you for coming on here, because what happens is that when people see that, they're saying, "Oh, wait a sec, I get it all the time. Oh, the valley must be changing a lot just from what I'm doing, right? I'm a representation of that beginning change." I think when I ask the question, even outside of the political side, I think one of the shifts that I think the valley or vineyard owners need to change is even how they market with social media. It's the constant complaint is like young people, but they consume their information differently, right? It's not enough just to see the vineyards, a picture of it. Like, I could see a beautiful picture of the vineyards, I'm like, oh, that's great. But why they want to drink the wine is that they want to know the person. They want to see the people moving. They want to see the product moving around. Who's drinking it? Why are they drinking it?
Why are they drinking? What kind of food? What kind of food? Yes, explain. I was doing a party yesterday, Mexican farm. We serve beautiful Pinot Gris. We serve Riesling. We serve Roussan, Marsan.
Yeah.
That was amazing with the spice of Mexican food. A week ago, I was with some very top, unique Asian chef. We presented some crisp white wine and beautiful Pinots from Sonoma that were amazing with it. So I think we need to showcase the diversity. We need to showcase all that wine goes with everything. It's a complement of food, spices, conversation, and discussion. I feel, Jeremy, it will evolve on its own.
Yeah.
Why? Because if you're not sexy today, if you're not appealing, if you're not charming, if you're not seductive, people are not paying attention to. So people naturally will evolve or they will disappear. And this is what I call this market economy. That is this American invention in many ways that I respect.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily the best, is the people that are doing interesting things for others will remain. And I really see that in my homeland of Burgundy. A lot of the new generation is fantastic. The wines are amazing. All the people of, let's say, my age group, which I'm going to make myself a tiny younger, 38 till the 58. We have a generation that is so talented, so fun, so cool. This is why Burgundy sold out. People want to drink Burgundy. You in India, you in Asia, you in the Philippines, you in Chile, or if you're in Africa, you want to drink Burgundy. Look, I kicked off 4 of our wineries: Ivory Coast, Nigeria, Morocco, and Congo in the last 2 weeks. People are drinking wine in those countries with the great food they have. And people are discovering through great importers and distributors that wine should be part of the diet.
Congo's one of your bigger markets?
Well, not big, but starting.
Starting. Okay.
And there's great food, great restaurant, and all that. So I think we're really moving into a very cool way. Same thing in Saudi Arabia, same thing in Dubai, same thing in Oman, same thing in Bahrain. I mean, their food is amazing. It goes very well with wine. Same as Indian food. When you start to have Syrah, Petite Syrah, you have Viognier, and you have Roussan, and you have even red Napa Valley blend with Indian food, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Picks up and highlights the spices. So I think it's all of us showing the way. I don't think the valley is in crisis. I think it's in transition. It's very different. A transition of a generation, a transition of an era to a new era.
Yes.
And I think it's cool.
It's finding that new identity.
Yeah, and I'm in between both with our wineries. Look, at Buena Vista, we promote the first California winery. Buena Vista is growing still, even this year, over 10%. Last year, over 15%. And people are saying we're in crisis. We're not. But why is Buena Vista growing? Phenomenal wines, history of California, first California winery, beautiful package, beautiful wine. People want to go to the source. People want to understand where they come from.
Yeah.
So I can go on and on. So I feel define your identity and go with it. Look, we bought Elizabeth Spencer, beautiful winery in Ratheth. The wine are suave, are seductive, feminine made, and they're not overly oaky. They're not overly alcoholic. they're very well balanced. And that's what we play on. We make Cabernet and red blend and Sauvignon Blanc and, white expressions. The winery is doing very well because we know who we are. If you like bold, rich, intense cab, I would not recommend to go necessarily to Liz and Spencer. Go to 1881 Napa or the Grocery, or go to some big wines at Raymond, or eventually the Grand Reserve at Boyarista. But if you look for that, if you look for something, European American, you go to JCB. What we're drinking now, the wines are very balanced, powerful, yes, a lot of power, but extremely inspirational. And that's what I look for.
One of the things that I do this is because I got to hear a lot of stories about people like you and other people around the valley, the origin stories, right?
Yeah.
So how we met, right? The first time I was at the Salvation Army fundraising event,
For sure.
and I was volunteering my time, and I came, and it was a wonderful event, and that was the beginning. That was 3 years ago, and that was the beginning of when we met and kind of massaging this relationship. But what are some of the other philanthropic things that you do with your company? I know the Salvation Army is one, because they helped with your grandparents. Is that what the story?
Great memory.
Yeah, your grandparents. Yeah.
My grandmother became an orphan of the war in 1940. So we're going back, 10 years. Yeah. And the Salvation Army was there in 1916, 1917, and onwards, as well as throughout many other friends' lives. So I've always been a big believer in the Salvation Army for all those reasons. But, Jeremy, we raise millions a year, millions, for probably 8 major areas. One is food and children. And that's a very big deal for us. We don't believe people should go hungry. So it could be the food banks, it could be the Salvation Army, and it could be many other organizations dealing with food and children. The number 2 is obviously health. We're very active with research and breast cancer and cancer at large, whether it's V Foundation to breast cancer research to all of that. That's number 2. Very big for us. Number 3 is the arts. We believe in it. We just did a huge party a month ago, costume party at Le Club in Rutherford at the JCV location, with 250 guests to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars for the arts. It was Nimbash. It was De Rosa.
Is podcast considered arts? I don't know. I might have to throw it.
Of course it is. So this one was huge because we donate back a lot for the world of the arts, and so forth. So the last one is the environment. We're very involved in environmental research, whether Conservation International and to many other organizations in order to preserve this amazing land that we live from. So 5 key endeavors, 5 key pillars that we believe in. And we do a lot with the locals.
Yeah.
Look, we just did our lots, was the second largest lot at Napa Premier with JCB and Elizabeth Spencer. Again, we raised a lot of money by auctioning a barrel that went crazy. And all that money is going local. So we very, very, very involved.
As a wine unified, didn't you guys still?
We do very big wine unified. African American vintners, Wine Unified, American Sommelier Association, Batonage, women's organization. I mean, you name it.
Yeah.
We involved in so many. There's not one week wine home host and welcome people with auctions or philanthropy that we do for others. I was just last week in Austin, Florida, doing a major auction where we raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for their local charity, which was music. The Symphony with Dimitridis, who is incredible. I'm going to be in a few weeks doing the same in Tampa. I'm going to go then into Naples. I'm going to go as we have, and many others. So we are nonstop.
Yeah.
People think wineries make a lot of money. It's not true. Our margins are very thin, are very challenged. I think we all do it because we love others, because we want to bring people together. And I think people don't realize how much money wineries and farmers do contribute to society. And I wish they did, because I think the obstacles of doing things locally would not be as high if people realized how much the wine community is helping with hospitals, with Ole Health, where we've been very active with, to treating other people. So I think the wine world as well need to be loved again.
Yes.
And I feel we've been put in the corner by certain newspapers and magazines as being, the capitalist of this, where making money in the wine business is very hard.
Yeah.
And I need to tell you that because we all having a very hard time. And I think it's important that we all love each other again. We all appreciate each other again and do things with and for each other again. It's not me or you, it's us together, which generally you're doing so well with your podcast.
Yes.
And you bringing all of us to life. You don't have to do what you're doing. And you're doing it because you love it and because you want to contribute, which you are, in an amazing way in the community. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So, final question, then we're out of here. Outside of Burgundy, we can stay till the day. I got the wrap up. I got the wrap up signal. Outside of Burgundy and outside of Napa Valley, what's your favorite region of wine to drink?
Well, I'm a big fan of the Beaujolais because it's fresh and crisp. South of Burgundy, I love Champagne.
Okay.
We're very active in the Champagne and sparkling wine. I'm a huge fan of bubbles.
Okay.
I need to tell you, I've been making bubbles personally for 30 years now, bro. And I'm fanatic and obsessed with bubble because it brings everybody together.
Yes.
I love Sonoma. I'm a big fan of all wine region, and I know you think I'm running for office. I'm not. I really love wine because of what it represents. I'm not excessively drinking personally. I enjoy wine really honestly with food typically.
Yeah.
I don't really drink wine on its own as much as you would imagine. I love the pairing. I think the meal with no wine is missing something great. So I want to make sure people reintroduce wine into its normal stature and context. And even if wine consumption in certain categories goes down, the better wine consumption is going up.
Yeah.
So let's not be depressed. Fine wine is not going down, it's going up. People are drinking better.
Yes.
They're drinking differently.
Yes.
They're not drinking the jug that they used to drink at university. They're not drinking the Matus that they used to drink with high residual sugar. They're drinking, alternative drinks. They're drinking, spritz and low alcohol type of drinks and cocktails. In the old days, they used to drink, high sugar pour wine.
Yeah.
Now, the good news, and that's the good news of the wine world, is becoming more specialized into what we ought to be, which is fine wine, which is great celebration, great meal, great discussion, and drinking wine for the right reason, I think is the key.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for coming on to my podcast. It's been just an honor to see this is my first time in St. Helena. We're in the tasting room in St. Helena, 1320 Main Street. You got to come down here. It's beautiful. The art on the wall. We really didn't get a chance to talk about the art, but I won't start because you won't stop. So well, they're going to see it. We're going to take pictures and we're going to show it.
But I can tell you one.
Yeah,
I can tell you one, Jeremy. And again, I want to thank you for doing what you're doing because you're doing it well. You know how to ask the question and trigger amazing answers. You have a true talent. Thank what you do. And I want to make sure you keep doing it and we'll do it more often.
Yes, we can revisit.
There was one painting I want to bring your attention here is a Jérôme Bosch reinterpretation of the Garden of Delights, which is really that middle painting that is so cool here in the tasting salon. We're surrounded with the best artists in the world. Velázquez, Raphael, Leonardo da Vinci, Watteau, Fragonard, Dali, all the top people, Magritte, all the top, from classical impressionists to surrealists. There's one painting from 4 centuries ago that is from Jérôme Bosch. That painting I love because this is the interpretation of life in its larger spectrum. So let's look at it. And I had one of the key copyists of Versailles who make the art the same as the big masters who reinterpreted that piece. And it's the centerpiece of the tasting lounge. And you will find me in one of the scenes waving at you in the paint.
Like a word wall now.
Yes, but look at it. It's the Garden of Delights. It's one of the most incredible painting of all time. It has so many meanings to it, from religion to life, to passion, to inspiration. It's about life at large. So the moment you start to know this painting well, you start to understand life better.
Well, thank you. Cheers to a great conversation. Jean-Charles Boisset, you are a gem in the valley, and you're legendary out here, and your work will, as long as I'm pretty sure Napa Valley is here, what you have done and your legacy will continue on. And I just thank you for coming on to the show, and I'm just glad to have you. And we'll see you guys again on the next episode of Meet Me in Napa. Cheers.
To many more.
Yes. Cheers.
Thank you.